Okay, this video is How to Raise IQ and Become a Genius, Part 6. We're continuing with this book by me. Okay, children ages 4 to 7 years old are famously smart. Everybody says, look how smart this kid is. But when teenagers are aged about 14 to 17 years old, they're famously stupid. They're sullen, they're sort of angry, they're passive aggressive, don't want anything to do with their parents and adults in general. And so why is it that they become so stupid? And the reason is the public school system. Okay, it's the same in USA as it is in the United Kingdom and in most places. Because the public school system is really, designed to sort of make everybody conformist and brainwashed to destroy their curiosity. Sigmund Freud is a jerk, but here's his quote, though. It's a decent quote. What a distressing contrast there is between the radiant intelligence of a child and the feeble mentality of the average adult. What I've seen is most people basically give up on their brain. They figure its purpose is to make a little money, try to, get a little nookie, and, that's about it. They don't have much curiosity beyond that. A 5-year-old asks lots of questions. They want to learn, whereas a typical teenager is sullen and withdrawn. They've been trained to think that reading is a waste of time and that their parents are stupid. So the next question is, why do some people know so much more than others? And the reason is people who know a lot, it's because they wanted to know a lot. They did a lot of reading and studying and learning. And the reason most people know little is because they don't have any interest in learning as an ongoing thing. Most of the adults I know, including most of the doctors I know, they don't read on their own for pleasure. They never read a book. You'll talk to them and they always say the same thing. Oh, I've been too busy, which is complete nonsense. Like I said, I read one book a week in the bathroom. I read one book a week in a car just listening to an audiobook. That's easy. They read 2 books a week. The other thing is what they do in the high schools is they make the kids read Julius Caesar, Huckleberry Finn, Great Expectations, and those are like terrible books for a freshman in high school. They're really boring and miserable, and then the kids see reading as a waste of time for the rest of their life. They'll usually never, ever read another book the rest of their life. Okay, Winston Churchill. Schools have little to do with education. They are mainly institutions of control, where basic habits must be inculcated into the young. Education is quite different, and it has very little to do with school. Yeah, you get educated on your own by wanting to learn, by reading, by talking to people who know something about topics you're interested in. Bertrand Russell. We are faced with the paradoxical fact that education has become one of the chief obstacles to intelligence and freedom of thought. Look at the medical system. It's a perfect example. You can take anybody who wants to be a health coach and let them just study on their own for 1 month. In 1 month, they can easily learn more than 99.9% of medical physicians, medical doctors, about health and what causes disease, what causes obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. It's easy. I can take anybody in 1 day and teach them more than the typical student learns in 4 years of pre-med education, 4 years of medical school, that's 8 years, and another 4 years of residency. So in 12 years, I can easily, I do it every day. Every day that somebody talks to me, I can do it. So I can teach more knowledge in 1 morning than they learn about what actually causes disease, how you prevent disease, how you cure disease, than they learn in 12 years. And that's because the conventional medical system educates people to sell drugs, to sell surgery, okay, to sell imaging tests, to sell blood labs. It doesn't educate them in what actually causes disease. By the way, for example, as a part of a pre-med education, you have to do a year of physics, a year of calculus, physical chemistry, a full year of organic chemistry. What I'm trying to say is, I do use a little bit of chemistry, but how much physics or mathematics do I use in medicine? 0%. I'm a triple boarded, Harvard trained, high-tech doctor. You don't need mathematics for healthcare. You really don't. I don't use any mathematics that I didn't know by about 3rd grade. So that's kind of what I meant by they don't focus on the things you need. You don't learn nutrition, epidemiology, toxicology, which causes most diseases. Okay, Bertrand Russell continues. Men are born ignorant, not stupid. The educational system is what makes them stupid. And the reason we're going through this is because a lot of people think, well, if you just get good grades in schools, you're going to be educated and smart. No, school's a game you have to play to get your guild certificates to get past the guild barriers and move to the next level. It's not how you get educated. You get educated by what efforts you make on your own. Marshall McLuhan, the smart Canadian guy, said, the school system, custodian of print culture, has no place for the rugged individual. It is indeed the homogenizing hopper into which we toss our tots for processing. The supple, well-adjusted man is the one who has learned to hop into the meat grinder while humming a hit parade tune. And that's kind of what I've seen too. The average chump just does whatever he's told to do, which, is good for, turning them into, cannon fodder. But if you want to have a creative, intelligent, individualistic life, you have to think on your own. Okay, here's another quote now from Alfie Kohn. He's a pretty prominent educational expert guy, and here's what he says. Students get the message about what schools want. When fourth graders were asked what their teachers wanted most, they did not say that we ask thoughtful questions and make responsible decisions or help others. No, they said, we know that in school we're supposed to be quiet, don't fool around, and get your work done on time. They're getting trained to work in a factory on an assembly line. It's like the Fick Prussian method of schooling. Okay, this is Alan Bloom now from The Closing of the American Mind. He says, when learning is based just on memorization of disconnected facts, everything is quickly forgotten. Real education responds to a felt need. There is no real education that does not respond to a felt need. Anything else is just a trifling display. And that's why, like most college education, most high school education, they want you to memorize all this stuff for the test. And the teacher pretends that they're a devoted teacher. We're going to be comprehensive on this subject. You can go up to some medical student and ask them a question about a rare disease, and they'll know the 10th manifestation of lupus. But they'll have no idea what leaky gut is. So it's stupid. Okay? And you could, how much do you remember from your high school classes? People typically remember almost nothing from grade school and high school other than how to type, okay, what they learned in driver's ed. Okay, now we got a quote from Alfie Kohn here. He says, the real problem is that learning is decontextualized. Information is broken down into tiny pieces that have no relationship to the whole. We give students a brick of information at a time, followed by another brick and another brick, until they've graduated, and we think that they should have built a house of bricks. But in reality, all they have is a pile of bricks, and they don't have it for long. They forget almost everything. You know that when you feel like you're going to forget most of the stuff right after the test. Versus, if you took a class on how to talk to girls, you wouldn't forget that. You don't forget what you learned in driver's ed because you use it. It's useful to you. Okay? And the secret of developing your intellect to the maximum level is you have to realize it's something you do on your own outside of school because you want to do it. Okay, here's a quote by Bertrand Russell. And so the reason why I'm going through this is so that you don't waste your time. You don't kid yourself what the game is all about. In school, it's a memorization contest, so you better be good at memorization. But if you want to learn and develop yourself, you should be challenging yourself constantly. Am I writing better? Am I speaking better? Am I thinking better? What do I know now that's new and useful? And I would, like I said, when I have a subject I care about, like let's say diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis, I'll keep a Word file on the computer and I'll keep on adding to it. And then a PowerPoint file, and I'll keep on adding slides, and I'll keep on polishing and improving the information, because you have to either improve it to make it get better and better, otherwise it starts going down. It doesn't stay in one place. It either gets better or it goes down. And if you're not making efforts to improve it, you'll gradually just lose it. Okay, another quote by Bertrand Russell. When you want to teach children to think, you begin by treating them seriously when they're little. You give them responsibilities and you talk to them candidly. You provide privacy and solitude for them. And you get them to be readers and thinkers of significant thoughts from the beginning. That's if you want them to think. And you look at lots of these guys, when they talk about what was sort of the defining influences that help them develop their intellect. And lots of these brilliant men, I've seen them, they'll tell you about time spent with their fathers. Like look at Feynman, the great physicist. He talks about his father would talk to him and get him to reason out, different complex situations, and that really helped him. And I tell you, my father too. My dad would argue with my uncle about books. My mom was a real smart lady, but she had nothing to do with those conversations. My mother never read a book. She had a graduate degree from the University of Chicago, but she never read a book. My father was always reading books and then arguing with my uncle, and I would get involved in those discussions. And to me, that's what a man should do, is read books and argue about them. And so my father was a good role model for me in that sense. He really was. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. That's it for today.